Who are the Shining Ones? Throughout history, cultures around the world have spoken of the Shining Ones or the Shining People. These are beings of extraordinary wisdom and power who apparently have descended from the heavens and they've come here to guide humanity. They've shared techniques for agriculture, for animal husbandry, mathematics, geometry, architecture, building some of these great ancient sites. And when we really look around, we see that these figures appear in ancient lore across the world, and the influence that they brought to our world is profound. Teachings from the earliest humans, they brought us out from the depths of the Younger Dryas into fully fledged civilizations. They brought their advanced spiritual knowledge with them and they embedded it into these ancient societies. And the mark that they have left on humankind and humanity has just been indelible. So let's take a look at who these shining ones are across the cultures because they've had various names. In Sumerian mythology, they were called the Anunnaki, and don't get this confused for the Zechariah Sitchin, the slaver, genetic manipulators of humanity. Let's set that aside. To the Sumerians, if we're really looking to the text, we see that these were deities, these were godlike beings who came to the earth to shape and instruct humanity, to guide us out from the darker times that resulted really from the Younger Dryas, from the Old Ice Age. In a more contemporary setting, in a more contemporary world, we might see these as the tall grays, the tall whites, the Nordics. These are extraterrestrial beings that still come here, that still have interaction with humanity, usually at the government level, usually with the scientists. They're a little bit more subversive than they were in the ancient times. But these are still these shining, these radiant beings that have come here to influence people. And we find it showing up in star seeds. We find it showing up in people who are communicating with these extraterrestrial beings. Their influence is still here in this world. If we go to the Celtic myths, though, we could see this with a Tuatha De Danann. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm not very good at my Gaelic and my old Celtic words. But these were a tribe of beings, a tribe of advanced beings that brought this higher level knowledge. And later they kind of got mythologized into the sea, the fairy folk. But they seem to have been these advanced beings. And in each one of these traditions, every one of these traditions, the shining ones have been portrayed as benevolent guides. They're imparting wisdom and higher advanced skills that really help to shape early civilizations of human beings. Now, when we look to the Norse lore, there's actually a special term referring to the Shining Ones. That's the Mæringar. And the Old Norse tradition does give us a unique perspective of these beings. And so we're going to explore that Norse perspective, what their teachings are, so we can uncover the valuable ancestral wisdom that they brought to us that is still relevant today. And like I said, the Old Norse term for the Shining Ones is the Mæringar, or maybe it means the noble ones. But their influence is kind of hidden beneath the layers of allegory, kind of hidden into the mythology, and that is a consequence of the Christianization of the Norse people. It really led to the alteration and the omission of a lot of these important concepts that we need from our lore. But just looking at the gods, just looking at the deities, we can really uncover some of the radiant nature of them, such as Heimdall, the watchman of the gods. He's described as having this luminous appearance. He guards the rainbow bridge Bifrost, and his name is kind of a derivation of shining, the shining one. Freyr, a god of fertility, prosperity, we call upon him for peace, prosperity, wealth, abundance. He's linked to light, to sunshine. He's essential for agriculture. And his light is a divine gift for humanity. Freyr is one of the shining ones. Balder is a beloved god of light, beauty, purity, another peaceful god. He's not a warlike god. And he's considered to be very radiant. And he really embodies the essence of the shining ones. His name also means like the radiant, the shining one. When we get to the dwarves, the Dvergar, we have Delling and Dagr that are personifications of dawn and the day. These are very much about light, illumination, shining. But moving beyond the gods and these things, we look to the Ljósafur, the light elves. They reside in those ethereal realms of Alfheim, and even Gimli, which is a celestial realm or a heaven that is above and beyond the realm of the gods known as Asgard. Now, these beings are very much the Shining Ones. They very much carry the Shining One lineage, embodying light, wisdom, and a connection to the higher realm. The lore even tells us about human beings who have ascended to be considered elves themselves. And this gives us kind of a hint that the Old Norse world knew about the evolution of the soul, where a human being can become like a higher level being. Think of it sort of like a luminous being in and of its own. And I do admit, I will tell you that that could be a stretch of what is in the lore, if we're going to look at it this way. However, we can look at that concept of becoming a luminous being in the 3D world. It is valid for the work that we need to be doing today. Now, we can look even deeper into the lore when we get to the Ynglinga Saga. The Ynglinga Saga is part of the Heimskringla, which was written by Snorri Sturluson, and it provides a very particularly intriguing glimpse into the influence of these Shining Ones. Because according to the saga, Odin, the chieftain, the head god, the main deity, built and lived in a city by the name of Mæringar, the Shining City. And the lore kind of hints that maybe this was located east of the Black Sea. It could have been in that area. But it was here that Odin shared his celestial teachings with a select group of people. He called them the DR. This is the same kind of concept that we see with Horus, with Thoth in Egypt, teaching the Shemsu Horus, the followers of Horus. We always see like a group of people that are being given this advanced teachings. And so these individuals were not just chieftains and rulers, but they were teachers, they were guides. They were entrusted with preserving and spreading this secret divine knowledge that Odin brought to the world. And this connection between the Shining Ones and the Norse gods suggests that the Old Norse really did recognize these beings as that source of the most sacred and profound teachings embedded into the lore, that ancestral wisdom. And the DR continue to embed these teachings into the culture, ensuring that the wisdom of these Shining Ones endured through the generations and that they're available to us today. So how do we apply that ancestral wisdom to our lives today? What can we learn from the Old Norse lore? How can we tap in and start using the teachings of the Shining Ones? Well, let's start to develop a connection to nature, cultivate a connection to nature, because the Shining Ones taught us the importance of living in harmony with nature, a lesson that's really vital in our time in the world. And so by honoring the natural cycles, doing our regular rituals, connecting into the cycles of the moon, respecting the environment, we can really foster a more sustainable and balanced way of life. Continuing our pursuit of knowledge, because the DR, they were entrusted in preserving with Odin's teachings, we should do the same. We should seek to acquire and spread the knowledge that really is uplifting and empowering. This includes the practical skills that augment our lives and the spiritual wisdom so that we have the clarity and guidance to live our purpose. Here's something interesting: embodying the light. The Shining Ones and the gods who reflect their radiance remind us of the importance of bringing light into ourselves and into the world. And I don't mean just being like a light worker. This is really attaining that higher form of spiritual work, really a higher level of spiritual attainment. It's that light of wisdom, the light of enlightenment and illumination, where you become a being of light embedded in a 3D body. You literally become a luminous being, helping guide humanity during these most important times. And I'm speaking now to starseeds. This is about activating your mission, because starseeds are a version of the continuing celestial wisdom that has been brought to the earth. These are beings that come from many worlds that are incarnating as humans, but their path really isn't that clear. It's not really that easy because there are so many pitfalls and misdirections that are put in their path. This world is really as you've seen, kind of designed to bring us down, to hold us back, to limit us, to keep us trapped. But by tapping into the ancient wisdom of the Shining Ones and looking to the many traditions of the world, we start to activate our purpose. We start to unlock that mission, and we become Shining Ones ourselves. And of course, you want to be honoring ancestral wisdom by looking into the past, trying to understand the teachings of our ancestors. We can find the guidance we need for navigating the challenges of the present times. The wisdom of the Shining Ones is not just ancient history, it's a living tradition that we apply to our lives today. And this is very true for the ancestral wisdom of the Norse. The ancestors laid a path for us to follow and to continue in a modern context, and it's up to us to be able to continue that path, to lead future generations, to teach them how to carry that shining wisdom forward. So it's important that we learn to tap into the ancestral wisdom of the Norse as a means of unlocking the future for humanity. So the Shining Ones, as we see depicted in the Ynglinga Saga and many other ancient traditions, are more than just mythological figures. They're symbols for applying the higher knowledge that has guided humanity for millennia. And by reconnecting to this ancient wisdom, we can uncover the timeless principles that help us live more harmoniously with each other and with the world around us. Now, in a world that feels like disconnected and fragmented, these teachings of the Shining Ones, the celestial wisdom of Odin, give us a beacon of light to remind us of the deep connections that we share within the cosmos and within each other. And by honoring this wisdom, we can bring more light, knowledge, and harmony into our lives and the community, and really unlock the future of humanity together. May you thrive well in all that you do. Hail